Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Simple Watch Reviews, where I review simple watches in a straightforward way. Today, my review of the Tissot PRX and my attempt to answer the question, which PRX is right for you? Okay, so here is the watch. Tissot released this a few years ago and it really kick-started the current trend for watches with integrated bracelets. And by integrated bracelets, I mean watches where the bracelet is kind of formed into the case, if you like. It's not a watch that you can put regular straps on. So this wasn't the first watch with an integrated bracelet in the modern age, if you like, by any means. But it was the first kind of really affordable one and the one that really got people interested in it. And we've seen loads of brands release integrated bracelet watches since then. There are kind of 4 different versions, I would say, of the PRX. There's actually a lot more than that, but there's 4 basic versions. So there's 2 different sizes, a 35mm diameter and a 40mm diameter. And then you can also get either of those with either a quartz or an automatic movement. The one I've got here is the 35mm, and I'll talk to you about why I chose the 35mm version. The 35mm with the automatic movement. And again, I'll tell you why I went for the automatic movement. There are a couple of other versions to be aware of. There's a 25mm diameter version, which is marketed for women, and there's a chrono version as well, a chronograph. But I think the 2 different sizes and auto quartz are the main things to focus on. There's also a load of different colorways, so different dial colors, and they do it in gold as well as in silver. And they've also more recently released a digital version too. So they are really milking this watch and trying to get as much out of it as possible. And it is a great watch. It's a really, really nice watch to wear. I'm going to put in a load of outdoor footage today because it's really out of doors that this watch really shines. The integrated bracelet reflects the light really beautifully. The dial is also, for me, a real star of this watch. So I'll put in some macro footage of the dial as well. So let me talk to you quickly about the dimensions of this one and compare those to the dimensions of the 40mm version. So as I say, it's 35mm in diameter. The lug to lug on paper is 39mm, but it's actually a bit longer than that because of the integrated bracelet. So 39mm is, kind of there to there. But with the integrated bracelet, it actually goes up to about 42mm effective lug to lug. And that's the reason why I went for this smaller 35mm version rather than the 40mm. So the 40mm has a on paper lug to lug of 44mm, but an effective lug to lug because of the bracelet of 51. And 51mm is just too big for me. I think the 35mm wears really nicely, especially on smaller wrists. So I've got a 6 1/4 inch wrist and it wears perfectly for me. Not too big and not too small. It's about 10.9mm thick. So the quartz version is a bit slimmer. The automatic movement, adds a bit of bulk to it. I'd maybe like it to be a tiny bit slimmer, but actually on wrist, it's fine. All of the models have sapphire crystal, and that I don't think it has a huge amount of anti-reflectant. I think there might be a little bit underneath. They've also got lume. The lume is nothing to write home about, to be honest with you. It's okay, but it's only really on the hands, as you can see. So it doesn't really do too much. Price-wise, the 35mm and 40mm are priced around the same. Where you do get a big difference though is in the price of the automatic versus the quartz. So the automatic is almost twice as much as the quartz. The quartz watches you can usually pick up for around the £300 mark. The autos start at around £600. So why did I go for the automatic rather than the quartz? I did own a quartz version of this watch and I ended up selling it. And the reason for that is I think the dial is much, much nicer on the automatic version. So why did I go for the automatic rather than the quartz, given that it's so much more? And I did own a quartz version of this watch for a while and ended up selling it. The reason is I think the dial on the automatic is much, much nicer. The dial on the quartz version is just kind of a flat, slightly shimmery dial. It's not interesting at all. Whereas the auto has this lovely kind of waffle pattern that just looks fantastic. Whenever I look at this watch, it makes me smile. I really do think the dial on this is gorgeous. And of course, with the automatic, you get the Swatch Group Powermatic 80 movement inside, which I found to be really reliable, keeps decent time, and having an 80-hour power reserve is really nice. It means you can wear the watch on a Friday, take it off, and it will still be running on a Monday morning if you want to put it on again then. The crown is just a push-pull crown. It doesn't screw down, but the watch does have 100 metres of water resistance, so about right for a sport style watch like this. It's a watch that you can wear without worrying too much about it. The bracelet, which is clearly one of the standout features of the watch, is a quick release bracelet, so you can take it off very easily should you want to. Tissot do sell rubber straps that you can fit onto this watch, and you can also buy strap adapters for it now. So you can buy little kind of end link bits that you can put on and then fit a normal strap to the watch should you want to. I haven't tried that. I think they're a bit more difficult to get for the 35mm version than the 40mm version, but they do look good, I have to say. And the clasp is this butterfly style clasp, which works very nicely, I have to say, and it's signed, as you can see, with Tissot 1853. So let's chuck it on wrist and you can see what it looks like. As I say, I think it wears very nicely on my 6¼ inch wrist. The dial is a really nice rich blue, and the bracelet really catches the light nicely as you roll your wrist. So back to that question I posed at the start then, which PRX is right for you? I think if your budget is limited, the Quartz is still a fantastic watch. The bracelet, which is really the star of the show with this watch, is exactly the same as it is on the automatic model. It's only the dial and the movement that are different. So if budgets are limited, definitely the Quartz version is still a great watch to pick up, and I think it will give you years of happy wearing. If you can afford to spend a bit more though, the Powermatic 80 is a fantastic movement, and that dial I think gives the watch a little something extra. Size wise, it's really up to you, your personal preferences and your wrist size. I would recommend trying one on in a store though if you can, so you can get a feel for how those different sizes wear. Because of that integrated bracelet, the on paper measurements of the watch are a little bit deceptive. They both wear bigger than you would expect. So I think the 35 wears more like a kind of 37 or even 38mm watch. Remember, it's all dial as well, so it will wear bigger than a dive watch with a similar diameter. And then you need to decide which colour to get. I'm a big fan of the blue. I think it's the perfect colour for this style of sports watch. But I do really like the gold watches as well. I'm not normally a fan of gold watches, but I think the kind of blinginess of the bracelet suits gold very well indeed. So I am quite tempted to pick one of those up at some point too. But if you prefer steel, there are a load of different colours available in steel. So check them out and decide which is the right one for you. Hope you've enjoyed the video today. Do let me know what you think of the watch in the comments, and please do consider subscribing for more simple watch reviews.